expected to be well tomorrow moving forward. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson reported to the team's facility today and is set to be on the field for the first time in almost 6 months. The last time Lamar Jackson practiced on a football field, or when we saw him on one, was his season-ending knee injury December 4th against the Broncos. Since then, a 2-year contract negotiation has ended, with Jackson as the highest paid player in the league when talking annual money per season. Practice is open to the media tomorrow, and I will have live reports. The Nuggets are on to the NBA Finals after sweeping the Lakers last night, a franchise first for Denver, and that team is led by head coach Michael Malone, a Loyola Greyhounds product. The Queens native played college ball at Loyola from 1989 to 93, and he got his coaching start as an assistant at Friends in Baltimore. Nearly 30 years later, he's on the biggest stage in search of Denver's first title.
To beat this team in the Western Conference Finals and to get the first sweep in franchise history, to get the first Western Conference championship in franchise history, it means a lot. But I speak for 17 players in that locker room and the entire organization. We are not satisfied. We're going to enjoy it for a moment. We have a lot of work to do.
O's back in action for a huge ending to the road trip in the Bronx for 3. That's tonight when Sports Unlimited continues.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up at 6 o'clock on Fox 45 News at 6, Baltimore's youth curfew set to start this holiday weekend. Fox 45 News looks into a guide advising Baltimore police on how to enforce it. And a good reason to be in the club this summer in Baltimore. What you need to know is 50 Cent announces another round of tour stops. Yes, sir.
We are following breaking news. Fox 45 News confirming the Baltimore City Police Commissioner issuing a new policy for officers on how to enforce the youth curfew. A look at that in just a minute. A man charged with hiring a hitman to murder someone he thought was a witness against him. The case that's reigniting calls for witness protection. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy speaking out on yesterday's debt ceiling meeting. It happened last night. Why he says President Biden and he are nowhere near a deal today.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
I'm Mary Bubala. We begin with breaking news right now at 6 o'clock. Fox 45 News has confirmed that Baltimore City Police Commissioner Michael Harrison is issuing a memorandum on enforcing the youth curfew this weekend. It includes breaking up groups of 10 or more juveniles with a 9 p.m. start for anybody under 14. The hours for older juveniles has not yet been listed. Teens will not be taken into custody, but instead Youth Connection Center employees will pick them up. Our Jeff Abel is poring over the document. He'll have details on how officers will engage with young people tonight on the news at 10. Now, this all stemmed from the Easter Sunday crowds and shooting at the Inner Harbor that left 2 teens wounded. It was that night the mayor said the city's youth curfew would come back. There has been little information, though, from his office since. However, tomorrow, his office and leadership team, including Monzi Director Shantae Jackson, will detail its summer youth engagement strategy. That is at 3. We will be there and stream it live on foxbaltimore.com with complete coverage here during our newscasts. Well, tonight, a Baltimore City man is facing federal charges after investigators say he hired a hitman to murder a mistaken witness in a case against him. The indictment, 7 years in the making, is now reigniting calls for more to be done to protect witnesses. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell explains.
7 years after a local pastor was gunned down outside her home in Baltimore, federal investigators have announced new charges in what they say was a plot to kill a witness.
Hearts are heavy, and we just have no understanding as to why.
Back in May 2016, Associate Pastor Latrina Ashburn was shot and killed as she got into her car outside of her Baltimore home. Investigators released this surveillance of the believed suspect.
He has a particular limp.
And later revealed they believe not only was Ashburn the victim of a witness retaliation murder, but the hired hitmen, identified as Clifton Mosley and Devon Carter, were actually supposed to kill her next-door neighbor, and Ashburn was not the intended target. Now, the man who investigators say ordered the hit, identified as Matthew Hightower, has been federally charged with conspiracy to murder a witness, witness retaliation murder, and witness tampering. This case reigniting the conversation about better protections for witnesses to violent crimes.
We've got to protect the people who want to say something.
U.S. Congressman Kwesi Mfume earlier this year introducing the Witness Security and Protection Grant Program Act of 2023.
It directs the Department of Justice and the FBI to award $30 million a year for the next 5 years. To cities like Baltimore, where there are severe problems with this stop snitching culture.
The witness security legislation that has since been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police is currently with the House Committee on the Judiciary. Senator Ben Cardin has also introduced companion legislation. Law enforcement experts say safety is key to getting people to come forward with information and help solve cases.
Eyewitnesses are very, very important to a lot of cases. We don't always have the DNA. We don't always have the physical evidence. We don't always have a camera.
As for Ashburn's case, this indictment one step closer to justice. Now, according to federal investigators, no court appearance has been scheduled. Hightower remains in custody. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Well, 2 more shootings today in West Baltimore, including a murder. Officers responded to the 2300 block of West Franklin Street, where they say they found a 52-year-old man had been shot. He died at the hospital. Then this afternoon at around 12:30, a 47-year-old man was shot on Baker Street. He's also in the hospital. So far, no leads from police in either shooting. Well, one city councilman is sounding the alarm about what he says is the #1 concern he hears from city residents. It has to do with how police are patrolling the city in his eyes. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has the story.
Councilman Zeke Cohen says he's concerned too many police officers are spending time sitting in their parked cars instead of out engaging with the community.
Cohen.
Calling it a deep concern, Councilman Zeke Cohen sounding the alarm about an issue he says he hears about often on the streets of Baltimore.
The #1 concern I hear about BPD when I walk around the city is police officers in cars.
At a public safety hearing earlier this month, police responding to Cohen's concern that officers are spending too much time in their parked cars.
We do need to do a little better job of getting the men and women out of the cars.
Deputy Commissioner Richard Worley says there is work to be done in their cars.
A lot of the stuff that Colonel Jones and Colonel Brown and I used to have to go back to the station to do, the officer can sit there and do right on his laptop.
However, he says that's not always the case.
Every day as our patrol officers go out on the street, about 25% of them are on overtime. So they've probably already worked at 8.5-hour shifts. So some of those men and women you see probably are on their 10th, 12th, or 14th hour working that may just need a breather to sit down and take a break.
At several intersections throughout Baltimore City today, we spotted officers sitting in their cars.
I fully respect the mental health and wellness of police officers and what a stressful, draining job it is. And I think we still see too many officers in cars for too long.
But we also found an officer near the intersection of Pennsylvania and North Avenue out of his car, engaging with city residents.
It just goes a really long way to see them on the street versus seeing them sitting in a squad car.
With police operating at a shortage of more than 500 officers.
I've sat here for 6 years and seen commissioner after commissioner say we are working on the recruitment issue, we're working on it, but I haven't seen any measurable progress.
Worley says every day they're painfully aware of the deficit and are doing the best they can.
Even if we hired 500 cops tomorrow, they're not coming for 18 months.
Right.
Because you got to go through the academy, go through field training. So we've got to work with what we have, and we'll continue to do that, but we are coming up with other ways to recruit more and retain the officers that we have as well.
Now, we did reach out to the Baltimore police today to see if they had any further comment on this concern from the councilman. They told us that, yes, officers are often spending time in their cars working, filing reports, searching warrants, or even taking a lunch break. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Well, Baltimore police sharing an update on dirt bike arrests since the beginning of April. Police say they've arrested 11 people and issued a warrant. 17 other people are also charged. Police say they recovered a handgun while one rider was fleeing from police. BPD has already seized 50 illegal bikes this year after taking in 130 last year. And now making headlines tonight, a 14-year-old girl in Prince George's County is facing charges for planning a hit squad attack. Prosecutors say she allegedly ordered 3 boys over text to murder a teen while on a school bus. Earlier this month, 3 teens wearing masks ran onto a school bus, pointed a gun at a 14-year-old boy's head and pulled the trigger. The gun did not fire, though. The 3 kids were then caught on camera beating the victim and then fleeing the scene. The 14-year-old girl and the 2 of the accused attackers were arrested and charged as adults with attempted murder.
We hear parents say, my child's a good child, that they weren't involved. I can't believe it, but believe it. It happens. Unfortunately, far too often in our communities, young people are making adult decisions that have adult consequences.
Police are still looking for the gun and the teen who's accused of using it during the attack. Well, a new report from Baltimore's Office of the Attorney General claims the city's Inspector General claims a city employee lied about having the proper education for a job in the Department of Finance. The employee claims to have a master's degree on their application, even providing transcripts and photos of a diploma. But when the IG's office reached out to the school in question, they were told the employee didn't complete a single semester of school. That person no longer works for the city.
Right now, we're following the debt ceiling negotiations. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy told Republicans today during a closed-door meeting that they are nowhere close to a bipartisan deal with the president. And the clock is ticking to the deadline for default. White House negotiators left the Capitol hours after meeting with House Republican negotiators for a little over 2 hours. House Republican Chief Negotiator Representative Garrett Graves says that they will continue to meet throughout the day. McCarthy is maintaining that a deal can be reached by June 1st, but he accuses President Biden of disrupting negotiations by putting certain proposals back on the table.
The president said you can't do anything like Medicare or Social Security, and now he wants to bring that into the fold. We all heard that from all the people across the country over and over. Where are you guys from? And so now he wants to bring that? That seems like a place to try to disrupt the whole negotiation, don't you? Like trying to throw taxes in now, trying to start talking about Medicare. No, we got to get it done.
No scheduled meetings have been set between President Biden and McCarthy for this week. We are also following breaking news. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will announce his bid for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination tomorrow night on Twitter. It's set to happen during a live audio conversation with billionaire and Tesla owner Elon Musk on the app's Twitter Spaces platform. DeSantis is expected to be the top challenger to former President Donald Trump, the current frontrunner in the race.
Well, attorneys once again getting a chance to question convicted killer Alec Murdaugh. Coming up, why he's headed back to court in the lawsuit surrounding his late son.
I'm Christine Frizzau on Capitol Hill, where GOP lawmakers say they want answers about why so many people who get deported from this country return time and time again.
And into the overnight hours tonight, we fall down through the 70s into the 60s and 50s by about 11 p.m. And as you're sleeping at 3 a.m., I'm going to let you know how much cooler things are going to be to wrap up the end of the week and when we could see some rain over your Memorial Day holiday weekend. My Weather Authority forecast.
Well, taking a look now at the Fox Quad Box. Top left, a Russian court extending the arrest of a Wall Street Journal reporter by 3 months. Evan Gershkovich was ordered to be held until the end of August. He was arrested back in March on espionage charges during a reporting trip in Russia. Top right, former President Donald Trump making a virtual court appearance in the criminal case against him. Today, the judge explained to Trump what he and his lawyers can and can't say to the public about evidence in the case. He is accused of paying hush money to an adult film star. Trump has pleaded not guilty. Bottom left, convicted murderer Alec Murdaugh is set to be deposed in a wrongful death lawsuit. The suit claims in 2019, Murdaugh's late son, Paul, crashed his father's boat while drunk, killing 19-year-old Mallory Beach. At the time of his murder, Paul was facing charges for her death. Those were dropped, obviously, after he was shot and killed by his father in June of 2021. Bottom right, one person has been arrested after crashing a U-Haul truck into a security barrier near the White House last night. A Nazi flag was found in the truck. Investigators believe it may have been done intentionally. The driver is facing multiple charges, including threatening to kill or harm the president. On Capitol Hill, Republican lawmakers are keeping the pressure on when it comes to the southern border. And while the end of Title 42 did not bring the record numbers of people expected, many regions are struggling, from California to Texas to New York City. Christine Frizzau joins us live on Capitol Hill. And Christine, what did we learn today?
Well, Mary, we learned that the big focus here for Republicans is on crime. They pointed out numbers I confirmed with U.S. Customs and Border Protection that in the last 2 years, more than 200 apprehensions of terror watch list suspects were happened between ports of entry. Now compare that to just 14 while President Trump was in office. Republicans say this was because President Trump focused on building the border wall and deportations, and changes in policy since then have meant that far more people who are now deported have an easier time getting right back in. During the hearing, there was the mother of a murder victim, a 20-year-old woman whose suspect was a 16-year-old MS-13 gang member, released to a relative and allowed to stay here, even though he was undocumented. Democrats say these cases are outliers and blame Republicans for playing politics with this issue instead of trying to come up with an actual solution.
And speaking of solutions, today, a bipartisan group of lawmakers actually did introduce some immigration legislation. What is in the bill?
Well, it's called the Dignity Act, and it does several things. It provides billions of dollars for more border security. It also seeks to establish so-called humanitarian campuses for asylum seekers to stay and have their claims heard within 60 days. It also allows those who have been living here illegally for 5 years to actually remain for another 7 if they work and pay additional taxes and small fees. That extra money would actually pay for some of these other items, Mary. So the big question is, will this pass? The fact is, it's coming from the House, but it's sponsored by a conservative Republican and a progressive Democrat, both women, I should add. It could be a possibility.
Interesting. We shall see what happens with it. Christine, thank you reporting live from D.C. for us tonight.
Well, look at the Fox Triple Cast this evening. Toyota Shida Harbor Sky Cam at the lower corner of your screen, and or actually the upper corner of your screen, Mile 1000 Cam at the lower corner of your screen, showing us some hazy skies. Outside of that, pretty pleasant day wrapping up. HD radar showing us, well, not a whole lot. It's basically our latest weather maker, fair weather high pressure, that's giving us a nice quiet weather, and that will continue to do so for the next several days. There could be one little bump in the road. I think it's mainly while you're sleeping Wednesday night to Thursday. But outside of that, looks quiet to wrap up the work week. Things could change, though, for the Memorial Day holiday weekend. Toyota Shida Harbor Sky Cam, as I mentioned, we do have some hazy sun. Mostly cloudy is what we're calling it, 73. So we take a beautiful look at M&T Bank Stadium and the end of 395 there. Winds out of the east-southeast at 10 miles an hour. Dew points, or the measure of moisture in the air, low in the 48-degree range. Winds have been kind of persistent today out of the east, about 8 to 15 miles an hour, and that's done this to the temperatures. 82 yesterday, today highs at 74, and we have now dropped off of that to 73 in Baltimore. Even cooler yet, closer to that Atlantic influence at 63, Denton on the eastern shore, 70 at Chestertown. You get farther away, that's where temperatures are a little warmer in the mid to upper 70s. Either way, temperatures are running about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than they were just 24 hours ago. And you can see that wall of cool air right along, again, the immediate east coast from that easterly wind flow, taking the temperatures into the unseasonably cool 50s and 60s. We're a little stone's throw away, so that's why we're in the 70s here in Baltimore. And then you go up and over the Appalachians, you're protected. So it is warmer there. Places in Ohio, they're near 80 degrees. HD radar showing us that we've got plenty of sunshine, acres of sunshine across much of the eastern third of the country until you hit some rain near St. Louis, down in the southeast U.S., and up toward Denver. We have no part of that over the next several days. Mild weather goes to dry and warm weather for tomorrow. Notice a cold front. That's our next weather maker. That's going to make the move at us as we head into tomorrow. Mostly sunny during the day, but into the overnight hours tomorrow, that front passes, there could be an outside chance of a sprinkle or a spritz. A couple of patchy clouds overnight tonight. By early tomorrow morning at, say, about 8 a.m., we're settling into the 50s to near 60. 70s for tomorrow to near 80 in the afternoon with some mostly sunny skies. And there's that spot shower or two as you're sleeping Wednesday night into Thursday early morning. 52 mostly clear tonight. Tomorrow we're at 81, mostly sunny skies, nice and warm. I'm going to let you know if this warmth holds all the way into the Memorial Day holiday weekend. My exclusive 10-day forecast around the bend.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Check out this black bear strolling through New Bedford, Massachusetts. There have been several sightings in different neighborhoods, which is unusual for the city. A viewer near South Bend, Indiana, captured this magnificent eagle mid-flight. And smoke from Canadian wildfires continues to create great sunsets, like this one behind this horse in Alabama.
Listen to Off the Radar, new episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
They're always so cool to see in the sky. Preparations underway for one of the best air shows of the year. Our Fox 45 news cameras capturing the Blue Angels rehearsing this afternoon for their U.S. Naval Academy commissioning flyover. For drivers in Anne Arundel County, the Naval Academy Bridge had to be shut down this afternoon because of the rehearsal. It'll be shut down again tomorrow from 1:45 in the afternoon until about 4 for the Blue Angels flight demonstration. Well, happening now, if you don't play the lottery much tomorrow, could be your lucky day. That's because the Maryland Lottery will be celebrating its 50th anniversary, and there are some very special prizes you can win.
Right. Tomorrow, if the players are taking part in our games, if you're purchasing from a Maryland Lottery, one of our draw games, so that's your pick games, your jackpot games like Mega Millions, Powerball, Multi-Match, the Cash for Life, racetracks, and Keno. And it also includes our Fast Play games. So if you get any of those games tomorrow, you could instantly receive an instant cash voucher. We're giving out over 15,000 of these, and they're going to be from $50 to $500. And we're looking to give away over $1 million tomorrow.